Hello, and welcome to The Light Within, where we explore how to access the wisdom and intelligence from within us to increase our health and vitality from the inside out. My name is Afia Tia from Renewed Spirit Life, and today my guest is Emmi Mutale. So a little bit about Emmi. She is an intuitive healer, energy medicine practitioner, and a shamanic womb priestess and teacher dedicated to reawakening ancient feminine wisdom. Emmi holds safe space for deep healing and transformation for women of all ages around the world. She is a best-selling author and host of the Sacred Feminine Power podcast, and runs House of Gaia, a center for healing and transformation in Lusaka, Zambia. With an MA in human rights, Emmi continues to work on women's and children's rights and is an advocate for health freedom. So thank you, Emmi. Welcome.
Thank you, Afia. It's such an honor to be on your show, and it's lovely to connect with you again.
Yes. We met, I think it's about 14 years ago now, dare I say. And but it's only been in the last couple years that we've reconnected, and Emmi has been a very big inspiration for me for even doing this Light Within with her Sacred Feminine Power podcast. She had me on, and it's so powerful to bring so many people together and kind of talk and bring out so much light and love in these conversations. So thank you, Emmi, for your contribution.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
So yes, let us get into it. Can you tell us a bit more about working with the ancient feminine wisdom and shamanic practices and all the things you do? How does that help us to access that light within us for our health, for our well-being? Please let us know a bit more about it and how it works.
Yeah, sure. So let me start by saying that I believe that when women reconnect with that sacred, ancient feminine wisdom deep inside our bodies and deep inside our wombs, and when we heal the wounds and the trauma that's keeping us from loving ourselves exactly the way we are, and when we have the courage to step into our sacred feminine power, not only do we bring healing to ourselves, but we also bring healing to those who came before us, to those who come after us, and to our planet collectively as well. And that really is the foundation of the healing work that I do. And the shamanic practices, I've always been drawn to shamanism ever since I was a little girl. I was drawn to healing arts and shamanic societies and cultures. And there was just a very, very strong calling in that direction within me. And I kind of stepped onto the shamanic path more seriously, so to say, about a decade ago now, maybe 10, 11 years ago now, and was initiated into a South African shamanic lineage. And started to learn various ways in which we can bring shamanism into the everyday, into supporting our bodies, supporting our mind, body, spirit as a whole, to come to a better place. And as you say, to really start to shine that light from within. And that has been such a beautiful, enriching part of my life. And a few years ago is when I started working very consciously with my womb space from the shamanic perspective. And for me, this was like one of the biggest openings and one of the biggest awakenings on my path, because I had been disconnected from my womb space pretty much my whole life, despite the fact that I'd been pregnant 3 times and had 2 kids. But for me, the womb had never really held meaning apart from being this organ that housed my babies when they were growing inside of me, which in itself is a miracle. And I didn't really see it as that, even when I was pregnant. Yeah. But once I really started to understand more about womb awakening and started to connect with my womb consciously and started to work with my womb space, listening to the messages from my womb, using my womb as a portal into other dimensions, as a portal into that ancient feminine wisdom, and learning how to use the womb as an alchemical cauldron as well, through which we can bring about healing and through which we can manifest things into our lives as well. That was when my life really started to open up and expand in really, really massive ways. And the understanding that our wombs are incredibly powerful, incredibly potent and wise parts of our bodies is directly linked to the ancient ones. Because when we look way back in history, we start to realize that those societies lived in what could be described as a womb cosmology. They understood that women, by being carriers of physical wombs inside their bodies, were directly connected to the womb of Mother Earth and directly connected to the great cosmic womb, which is really the primordial black hole from which all is birthed. And
wow.
yeah, absolutely. And women were held in extremely high regard because of this. And they were really revered because of the power and the wisdom they held within themselves, not just to nurture and birth new life, which I will repeat again is a miracle in itself, but also because of that connection, and connection also to the cycles of nature and connection to the cycles of the moon. And just the fact that we bleed on a monthly basis, some women very heavily as well, and we don't die as a result of that. I mean, imagine how powerful of a cycle of rebirth and death and rebirth that is
Wow.
in every woman's life. And I think really important to mention that even if you no longer have a physical womb space, if you've had a hysterectomy, for example, the energy of your womb will always be with you, and you'll be able to work with that, with the energy that is still inside you.
Wow, I am so happy that I'm talking to you right now. Just everything you said, so many things that are so powerful, like just even starting with the fact that when we heal ourselves, we're healing the planet, we're healing the generations before us, we're healing the generations after us, and this connection to women. And it's, you know, sometimes people don't like when we talk about the feminine wisdom because they say, oh, it's about, you know, against masculine. And it's not really about that at all. But we, as women, we have some extra parts to us. We've got some other parts going on that haven't been explained to us at all, even on a physiological miracle basis, let alone this kind of metaphysical stuff. And so it's just like you've mentioned, so many things that can open us up, because if we really even understand how sacred we are, we're going to treat ourselves a lot differently, right?
Yeah,
if our girls understand these things, they're going to be acting and behaving, and just even their mental perspective totally different.
Yeah,
this is a very powerful very powerful stuff.
It is. It really is. And sorry, go on.
Well, you were mentioning about, you know, also using some shamanic practices on a daily basis. And I'm kind of curious to know, what are some of those things? Because, you know, I've got my own things that I do. And I think more than the average person, I'm definitely more aware of our metaphysical nature, that we're not just cogs on a wheel, just going on the cycle. Like, there's so much more, but I'm a very practical person. So that's why I am curious, like, what kind of things do you use on a daily basis to kind of nurture your womb space, nurture yourself as a woman, these sorts of things? or maybe on a monthly basis?
Sure. Well, the first thing that came to mind when you started to ask that question was really the vital importance of connecting to Mother Earth on a daily basis. And preferably doing that by actually placing your bare feet or your bare hands directly onto the soil. Because Mother Earth contains incredibly healing energies. And it's been scientifically proven that when we connect to the earth, to the soil or to the grass, we actually are able to heal ourselves much more quickly. And it benefits us in numerous ways. And if you're feeling stressed out or worried, your mind is racing in all kinds of directions, just go outside, even for 5 or 10 minutes, and longer if you can, but even 5 or 10 minutes, and just place your hands or your feet directly on the soil. And just allow that beautiful energy to flow into your body as well. And shamanism is very earth-based. So that is like one of the very, very basic foundational things that you can do on an everyday basis, whether you are on the shamanic path or not, and it will benefit you.
And I want to mention for us, if we're in, Emmi's from Finland, so she knows things about snow. But for us who've been in the 6 months of winter plus, or more than 6 months, even touching a tree, I do sometimes, because I'm not going to get my hands on the freezing cold snow. But those are things we can still do it even when it's freezing cold out. And even yesterday I had a pretty intense day, and I just went outside with the dogs, and it was literally only 5 minutes. And it made me feel, just even air, the fresh air on my lungs.
Yeah.
I could already feel a difference in how I was feeling.
Absolutely. And if you indeed live in a place where it's super cold part of the year, or you are in a city where there is no nature around for miles, then you can absolutely just imagine that you've got these beautiful, strong roots growing from the soles of your feet, going straight into Mother Earth, grounding you, supporting you, and just kind of breathing in those energies that way as well. And that's super powerful too.
Exactly. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Thank you for that reminder. It's so important. Like, it's not just our imagination. We're such amazing beings, and we're really connecting to the earth. And sometimes it feels like, what am I doing anything? But if we keep doing it, we're going to have an effect.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, what about, what else can you tell us about womb awakening? It just sounds so amazing. And using, you mentioned using our womb as like an alchemy to transformation for healing. Can you tell us anything more about our wonderful wombs?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I think what we're seeing at the moment globally is this beautiful, beautiful process of where more and more women are starting to awaken to the importance of their wombs, and really starting to reconnect and reclaim their wombs. Because so many of us have been disconnected just by virtue of the paradigm, the patriarchal paradigm that we have all grown up in, which has very consciously, very systematically over centuries actually disconnected us from our power in order to keep us small, in order to keep us afraid, in order to keep us from speaking our truth and really accessing who we truly are. So I would say that one of the simplest, easiest things you can start to do is on a daily basis or weekly, however often you can, but literally just place your hands on your womb space, on your lower belly, and feel the warmth from your palms against your body. And then close your eyes if that feels safe for you to do so, and just start to breathe and allow your breathing to bring you deeper inwards. And when you feel ready, just consciously connect with your womb. Just imagine that you are forming a connection with this sacred organ, this holiest of holies inside of you. And you can literally begin by greeting her. Hello, hi. Smile at her and just ask her, how are you feeling? And at first it might feel really weird and difficult to do, especially if you have been disconnected from your womb space. But the more you do it, just like you said earlier, the more you do it, the more this intuitive muscle growth. And the easier it starts to become to actually start to hear messages from your womb space. And when I say hear messages, you could actually hear them if you are in that way inclined, more auditory, or you could perhaps sense something, feel something, an energy coming from your womb space, or you could perhaps see something. And when I connect to my womb space, I often get very visual messages from her. And sometimes they're very strong sensations. And sometimes my womb is very still. And that for me is always a nudge to go still within myself as well. It's like I haven't been coming back to myself. I haven't been devoting enough time just to stillness, to silence, because it's in the silence that our inner voice and our wombs really start to speak. And that's when we hear.
This is so beautiful. And I am definitely gonna incorporate this. I've got different things I do, but and when I was pregnant, I definitely was connecting with my womb space. And after I gave birth, though, I definitely felt disconnected for like 2 years, probably. I just felt it was just like so much trauma, and from the pain, there was nothing actually traumatic aside from just really intense pain that kind of stimulated some memories that disconnected me. So it took me quite a long time to be able to kind of, it's safe to kind of introduce, but now I love this practice you're mentioning, to go even a step deeper into reconnecting with that womb. And I'm really curious. I'm curious to see what, because we're such intelligent and amazing beings. So I'm curious to know what's going to come of that.
Yeah, beautiful. And as you were speaking there, what came to me very strongly is that when I was pregnant, I was connecting to my babies, but I wasn't connecting to my womb space or the energy of my womb. And that for me was really the missing piece. And often if you have had either a traumatic experience during pregnancy or birth itself, or the pain was so intense that, as you say, it's triggered some stuff for you, it can be really, really powerful to do some energy medicine or energy psychology work around that as well. For example, tapping or matrix re-imprinting, which allows you to really go to the root cause of that trauma, or the root cause of those brain patterns that have been created in those moments, and those beliefs that have been created in those moments, and very often physical symptoms like pain, for example. And to go back to that root cause and really clear the energy, reduce the emotional charge, or completely clear the emotional charge of that, so that the healing can happen really, really deep at the cellular level within your body, not just in the mind, but this is real, embodied healing, cellular level healing. And you will notice that it will have such a beautiful, expansive ripple effect on all aspects of your life, and especially around womanhood, because birth is such a natural, powerful, beautiful part of being a woman. And it's something that men absolutely cannot do, no matter what they're trying to tell us now. But it is not something that men can do, okay? And the more healing we do around this, the more powerfully we step into our power.
And it's, again, I want to kind of mention, maybe, do you have something to say about, the masculine? Your specialty is tuning into that divine feminine, but it's just one part of the other side. And how does tuning into our sacred feminine, how does that affect our relationship with the masculine?
Well, I think when we talk about the sacred feminine, it really encompasses the concepts of sacred feminine and sacred masculine. And it's all about bringing those into balance within ourselves and outside of ourselves. And it's this deep understanding that we all have both feminine and masculine energies inside of ourselves. We couldn't function if we didn't. And if one of them is out of balance, like for example, I lived most of my life completely from the masculine. I was so focused on my career. This was, a few years ago now, but I was very focused on building a career in the humanitarian field and working for different agencies and really pushing myself hard, trying to climb the career ladder and looking for external validation in everything that I did, and just, action, 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 constant pushing and reaching for bigger results all the time, which is very much the masculine energy. And I was completely ignoring my feminine energy, which was all about being and allowing and resting and nurturing myself and, really honoring my body and listening to her needs. And I wasn't doing any of that. So my energies were completely out of balance. I ended up burning out really badly. I ended up becoming really depressed, almost suicidal. Not almost, I became suicidal at one point. And it was only once I started to understand the dynamics between these two very beautiful energies that we still need, but in balance, that things started to shift at a really large scale for me. And in this scenario, when these energies are balanced, the masculine is providing this beautiful, safe container, this structure, and taking these steps, these actions that you need to take in order to move forward on your path. And the feminine, held by this safe, sacred masculine, was able to flow and create and bring into being and nurture and nourish not just me, but others around me, and move in this beautiful, flowing, wavy energy, which is the feminine energy. But it needs to be guided by the more masculine, structured energy around you.
Yes. Oh, I love that, because it's like you said, it's when we come into balance with the sacred feminine, and that's healed and in a very good space, both the masculine and feminine can come into the balance as we need it, not in just kind of one side is just taken off way too far and leaving us totally tapped out. I love that. It's and we both, male and female, and we all have these parts to us, and it's essential to our life. Yes,
we wouldn't be alive if we didn't have those energies. We wouldn't be alive, at least not in the way that we are capable of being alive. These amazing spiritual beings in physical bodies.
Okay, now you already given us a couple tips, to ground in with the earth, to connect with our womb space. Is there any other message or any tip or anything else you'd like to share with those who've tuned in today?
Let me see if there's anything specific coming through, okay?
Sure.
I think the important message is that it's never too late to do the healing work. It's never too late to start that. And no matter how much trauma we may have experienced in our lives, whether it's, again, this lifetime, or whether it's stuff that we've taken on through the lineages from our mothers or fathers, grandparents, and way beyond that as well, or whether it's something that we're unconsciously carrying on from past lives, or whether it's the collective energy around the planet that we are kind of picking up
especially
from.
Right now.
Especially right now, absolutely. We are capable of shifting our vibration, changing our energy, and always shifting from fear into love, and from judgment into compassion, and from this place of rigid unforgiveness into forgiveness and courage. That is always available to us. And the more we're able to cultivate that, well, the more quickly our planet will also heal.
Yes. Oh, thank you. That's a beautiful message. It's never too late to start. And thank you very much for that. Now, I would like to let everybody know where we can find you. How can people find your work? You've got a free gift for people to be able to access. Can you? You are a miracle activation.
Yeah.
This sounds amazing. Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. So that's a transmission that came to me a couple of years ago. And it's a message from the Wise Old Crone. So we're working with the sacred feminine, the wise old woman archetype here. And it's just a beautiful message about a meditative message about remembering who you truly are and remembering how powerful you are and how connected you are to everything around you, to life itself, to all living beings on our planet and beyond. So it's a beautiful way to kind of recharge and remember more of your divine origins.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. I'm going to sign up because I want to listen to it too. And also I'm going to mention that your website is femininerevered.com, right?
That's right.
And also you can find her Sacred Feminine Power podcast on the website. And there's a Facebook group called Sacred Feminine Power, where you can also connect with Emmi and all the people she's had on there. So yes, I'm going to put all those links in the description as always. And yes, thank you so much, Emmi, for being with us today. I just want to talk to you forever. But we're keeping it short, so it's easy for people to just kind of take in a little bit at a time. But thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Afia. It's been lovely to connect with you, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, you're so welcome. And thank you for everybody who's watching. I will see you next time on The Light Within. Please support my channel by subscribing to Renewed Spirit Life, liking this video, and sharing it with anybody who you know might be interested in some of these topics we're covering. It's such a powerful time that we live in, that we can share the light and we can share that we have so much strength within us to increase our health and vitality. And if you are on Facebook, find me and find all the people who've been interviewed, all my guests, on the Light Within Facebook group. Take care.